Hey guys, we'll have a little delay, probably of 5 to 10 minutes, because Vital is still talking about on his speak. All right, guys. I hope the talk with Vitaly was interesting. We move forward to Max Firtman. He's going to talk about Google Glass. I have to say it's probably one of the first talks in Switzerland where we see actually Google Glass in action. I'm pretty happy you have him here. Enjoy the talk.
Okay, thank you. Hello, guys. Good afternoon. So my name is Maximiliano, right? You can call me Max if you want. I'm Firt on Twitter. I'm from Argentina, right? I'm traveling a lot doing talks and trainings on usually mobile web development, mobile HTML5, and now also glass development, or at least to understand how these things works and what you can do for these devices in the future, what you will be able to do in the future. So I have written some books. There you have my books and translations. The latest two books are Programming the Mobile Web and jQuery Mobile Up and Running, both from O'Reilly Media. And we will talk about Glass. And we are going to see the experience because that's important. I mean, it's a new kind of device, so you need to understand not just how to code, but also how the glass works. What is a glassware? That's a name for apps for glass. The timeline, the browser. Do we have a browser? Well, let's see. And some code, right? I will show you some code. Questions? Yes, please. Remember, we have. I will try to keep some couple of minutes at the end for questions. So I will be here during the whole conference. So any question you have, just write it down. Just a quick note. I'm not from Google, so I don't work at Google. I'm an independent contractor, so I can say whatever I want about the glass. I'm part of the Glass Explorer program. So we are around, I think now more than 2,000, but around 2,000. 96% in California, but I'm out of California. And some of you know us, I mean the explorers, as glass smart people, right? So let's start talking about glass, right? So first, the experience. So let me show you a video of, so that was last May. I was doing a book signing in California. That was basically the first time I could basically get the whole experience, record the whole experience of a book signing, right? So that's the kind of things that you usually do with the glass. When you see, okay, it's not a phone, right? So you can get a different experience when you are taking pictures or when you are recording a video, right? So of course the audio is off there, but you can get like, you are myself right now. I'm sorry about you. Let's see some myth around Google Glass. First, that is like this sci-fi, right, thing that is right now showing you, it's showing me here in my head right now who wants to get out of this room right now, for example. The reality is that it's not like that, at least not now. As you can see here, if I look at you, I'm looking at you, not to the glass. The glass is not over my reality, right? The glass is not over my sight. So I still have eye contact with everybody here. So if I'm using the glass, basically, you're going to see that first, you're going to see the light. So there is a light there. And if I'm looking to the glass, I'm looking up, right? So I'm looking like a zombie, right? Something like that. So basically, you know when the user is using the glass and is not like looking at you. The second myth is like we have mobile devices and the glass is like the next step, like the evolution, right? The thing is that that's not at least what glass is now. Glass is not right now a replacement for a mobile phone. So it's not the next step. It's a companion and it's more a different kind of device. That means I cannot do all the things that I can do with my phone with the glass. So I can do some things and some other different things, but not the same things. At least not now, right? Just a quick example, I cannot search for emails or read all my emails. I receive only the most important emails. And that's on purpose, right? The idea is not to replace the phone. And then if you have an app, mobile app or desktop app or a game, maybe you're thinking, okay, how can we move our game or app to a glass, right? And the first thing you think about is to just make a background transparent, and that's all you need. So basically, an app for glass, right, is not just an app with a transparent background. So you need to think about the game and what you are doing, and it's far different from that. So not that. And finally, it feels like we are receiving notifications all the time, right? How many notifications do you receive on your phone? A lot, right? So, and you're thinking that you're going to receive all of that here in your brain directly. The thing is that on glass, right, it's not like that because your content is not so important. It sounds weird, right? But we're going to see that later. But basically, there is a good probability that the user will never see the information that we as app developers are sending, are pushing to the user. So we're going to check that later. If you want some specs, the screen is not really a screen, right? It's a projection. So it's like a projector that looks like a 25 inches monitor 2.5 meters away. It's a 9th HD transparent screen, but it looks like a high definition screen. The thing is that I don't want you to think that you have like a monitor over your eye. So that's why talking about the resolution sometimes is not really important because there is no real comparison between the screen resolution and this projection resolution. We have some sensors like accelerometer, right? Accelerometer, gyroscope. There is a eye tracking sensor that is looking to my eye that right now is disabled. So it's doing nothing, I hope. We have a camera. Of course, we have a multi-touch panel here on my right. This is multi-touch, so there are a couple of multi-touch gestures. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, at least this first prototype. It's an Android device, Android 4, and it has a bone conduction transducer. Basically, that means that I don't have any piece of something on my ear, and I can still hear a call, a video, audio, etc. Right? So, and it's using the same transducer for the microphone. So if there are a lot of background noise and I'm speaking to the glass, it's working pretty well, better than a phone. So now the weird part, I will plug this in. And I will show you a demo. So you're going to see, so I have a micro USB here. So because it's an Android device, right, I can just use any Android tool. So this is a tool where you can see what I'm seeing. It's a weird tool, but I can get it. Okay, now we are. So now it's off, as you can see, right? I can turn it on, and now you see the typical first screen. By the way, if I look at the screen, it's not black, right? It's transparent. So I can browse the web here, right? I can browse first content. I can take a picture of you using first there is a button here, so I can take a picture of you. So look at yourself. I can also use my voice, right? So, okay, glass, take a picture. I'm pretty sure you have seen this a lot in videos and that kind of stuff. And from here, I can share it on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, or any other app that wants to receive pictures. I can record a video. I can ask directions. Okay, glass, get me directions. Central station. One of the limitations or limits we have right now is that it's only in English, so I cannot say German addresses or Spanish addresses in my home country. Let's see if the 3G is working. I'm connected with my 3G. If it's not going to work. But basically, what I can do right now, didn't catch that, okay? Central station. I think it's something with the connection. I will check that right now. So basically, I can move my head and see the map and the direction I should go right from here. So that's the basic experience, right? So again, it's not in front of my reality. It's just like having a little thing at the top right part of my vision, and that's all for now at least. So now I will take this off and go back. We are going to see more demos later. So it's a different kind of device, right? It's not a phone that I have here on my face, not transparent apps. It's not the same app that you have, the same game that you have with a transparent background. And it's a limited augmented reality experience, right? Again, it's not covering my whole vision. So talking about the glassware. The glassware is the name of the apps for glass. So we have, again, right, the discussion of native versus web. But in the glass, it's different. I mean, the discussion is a bit different because today we can create cloud-based apps, not web, cloud-based apps, and you're going to see what this means. It's called the Mirror API, right? And I will show you some code about the Mirror API later. So tomorrow, I mean, when I'm saying tomorrow, I'm saying in a couple of months, we will have the discussion of native versus cloud because Google has announced that the GDK Glass Development Kit will be available. So in the near future, we will have the ability to run any kind of native app, right? So another demo of that, so just for you to understand that this is really an Android device. I can run any Android app if I have the tool or the SDK to run any kind of app. So again, that's my glass. Unfortunately, every time I'm disconnected, I need to zoom in again. I have here an Android Studio. Android Studio is one of the tools that Google supports. So I will run, and hopefully, right, it will do something on my glass directly. So let me first get the, where is it? Here, the zooming window, okay? So from here I can open an app. I'm not sure if this is cool or not, but basically I have DOS on my head, right? I can even execute some commands I have here in history. So this is basically a DOS emulator for Android that I can install here. Of course, I don't type. I can say okay glass, format C, right? Something like that. But I mean, it's not there, right? Okay, this is just an example that any Android app will work here. The problem is that it's not optimized or prepared for using my head and a touch panel and not a touch screen. So that's the main difference. Okay, that's all for those. So when you want to install an app, the installation process is more, I mean, I'm talking about now the glassware with the cloud API. Right? It's just going to a website that is called My Glass. That is also available as an Android app connected through Bluetooth with my glass. And basically, I can select here which apps I want to install, right? Or enable. And when I say I want CNN or I want Facebook, the process, the authorization process is similar to a Facebook app, right? I'm just saying, okay, I allow this app to access my glass, and that's all. Then the server, because it's a cloud-based app, so your server will use HTTPS to connect to the Google server, and the Google server will send the content to the glass, right? If I'm doing something with the content, like doing some kind of action, then the action goes through the Google Cloud again to our server. So that's the basic architecture. It's a simple architecture, but that's how all the apps available right now for Glass are working. So, for example, CNN, when you enable CNN, you have the ability to set up, so go to settings and define, in this case, what kind of information do you want to receive, right? So it's like, in the case of CNN, it's like an alert system. You receive alerts and also videos. So the glassware, we have the difference of tomorrow, that will be GDK and cloud, and today that is cloud only. It's not really clear yet how the GDK will work, right? Right now, if you want to try a native app, you need to go with the cable and send commands in command line or using the SDK tools. And when you are trying to create a new solution for Glass, it's important that you should create a new architecture. Usually, your current architecture in terms of what you're sending to a user should be different. It's not the same as Android notifications or iOS notifications. You should think about what are you going to offer to Glass users. So, the timeline. A timeline, you know what a timeline is, basically, right? You have the now, the present, the past, and the future. And the timeline in Glass is the base user interface. So the main user interface in Glass is the timeline. So I have the present. That's why when I turn it on, it says the time. So that's my present. And then I have my future and my past. The past is on my back, and the future is ahead of me. So right now, you are my future. Let me show you how this works again on the Glass. Again, the timeline. So there is no application menu here, right? So we don't have any application menu as on any other operating system. So that's one of the first problems we have. Oh, I hate this UI. Okay, here we are. So that's my present, right? So if I want something from the past, I bring it from my back. So I do this gesture, right? From my back, and that's my past, right? So I have a couple of pictures 3 minutes ago. You are looking at my past, right? So I can get pictures, video, news I have received on my past, notification from Facebook, Twitter on my past. And coming from the future, I have always information about my future. That's usually weather. I know I'm not in Mexico, but basically this is a demo mode, so I can show you everything and you are not seeing my emails. They're so boring. So I have also information about my schedule, things I need to do, flights I have in the future. Gmail knows, Google knows if I have, if I'm tracking a package, for example, from DHL or FedEx, I have the information about the future of that. Or if I have tickets for the theater, I have the information on my future, things I will need on my future. So that's the main user interface for Google Glass today, right? The timeline. Okay, going back here. I will try to keep it connected there. So on the timeline, the unit is the card. So every little rectangle you have seen there, it's a card, right? So that's the unit, the main unit, a card. We have different kind of cards. We have system cards, like taking a picture, right? That's basically a system card. It goes to the past, right? Standard cards sent by glassware goes to the past too, like New York Times sending me information. We have pin cards. That's basically our glassware, right? Our app can send information to the future of the user. And the future is always there until the future happens. So basically, you are responsible to remove the card from the user's future when the event is not available anymore, right? So you can pin cards on user's face in the future. And how? Using the same architecture, right? You send content through HTTP. And it's really simple. And here comes the idea of it's probable that the user will never see our card. Because, if we are sending standard cards, all the cards are being accumulated in my past. And the past is infinite. So when you receive a new card, you get a notification. The notification is basically a sound saying, okay, you have something. When you have time and you want to, turn me on and I will show you the notification. So it's not turning on by default or something like that. So sometimes I receive notification and maybe I turn the glass on 2 hours later. And maybe I try to see pictures, news, emails, calendar stuff, and I will never see your car. And that's okay, right? Because the idea is to be there when the user wants to. So the user is in power, not the app. About content types on the card. We can send simple text cards, just plain text. We can send video and images. The video, and now we can also send audio. The video can be the video file, or we can send a URL for streaming. right? And a car can also be HTML5. So we can create HTML content, rich content for the car. Every car can have like a contextual menu. It's called the actions and menu items. So if I want to do something with the car, I can then tap and see all the available options. That's a menu item. So menu items 101, just 1 or 2 words, 1 icon, simple to use, no arguments. So for example, if you are creating an app to charge an account with money, and you send a card to the user saying, hey, you don't have enough money, you're out of balance, you don't have any balance anymore. So that's the card. On the options, you can say, okay, charge me 5 francs or 10 or 25, but you cannot ask the user how many do you want. So no arguments, right? Should be easy. And we have system or pre-built menu items and customized items. So I can create the items I want. How can I listen to this action from my app? Same architecture, right? HTTP. So again, HTTP means you are doing a Java, PHP, Node.js application, or .NET, right? So that's the way you create these apps server side. How to reply? I mean, if the user is asking, for example, if charging the account, and I want to say, okay, now you have $10 or francs, I basically send another message through HTTP. It can be a new card, or I can update the same card. I have the ability to update cards, right? So, and then we have contextual events. So we're talking about the cards, but sometimes there are some other events that we can use to update or send new information to a user. The first one, and is the one that maybe will generate more discussion, is that a glassware can know your location all the time. In fact, you receive the location updates every 10 minutes, right? I mean, latitude and longitude. Of course, not every glassware. The user needs to say, okay, I will give this glassware geolocation permission. It's a specific permission that the user needs to approve. And that means that you know all the time where the user is. So when you should have some kind of server-side intelligence, and when you want to say something to a user that is important to his location, then you can send a new card or update a card. So that's geolocation. We also have the share. So basically, most of the cards have a share action there. So I can click and say share. So our glassware can be one of the shared targets. So it can be, so for example, Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus are shared targets, but we have other kind of things like Tumblr or you can create any kind of app that will receive images, pictures, or other content. And this month, because monthly we are receiving updates of the operating system, so this month we have a new feature that allows us to attach our glassware to the OK Glass menu, right, the main menu. So we can be there too, not just as an action of a card, right? So the user can now use the voice and say something. And again, all these events come through HTTP. So you will register a URL, like your endpoint, and then Google will say, hey, this user has just said something. That's the idea. And these invocation voice commands that has appeared this month, right now are only 2, take a note and post an update. So, but there is an open discussion in the Glass community, so everybody can suggest other things. So I want my app to respond to OK Glass something. And so, but right now Google is in charge of all the possible options. Today, we can just communicate with take a note and post an update. If the user has many glassware installed connected to the same voice command, then there is a submenu, always with your voice. So you can say, post an update on Twitter, post an update on Facebook, post an update on your own name. Right? That's the idea. And you will receive server-side the audio file, and also the transcribed text as a string. So the timeline. Remember, timeline is the basic UI. The card is the unit, right? We have menu items or actions, and that's basically the endpoint where we receive all the interaction from the user. We have these new contextual events, and you need to provide your own server-side intelligence. The idea here is it should be more push than pull, right? So the idea is that you should have your own intelligence running all the time to send information or update information to the user and keep the user update all the time. So when the user wants something, it's there. It's already there. That's the idea. Okay, the browser. Hopefully it will work. Let's see, I have my little thing here. It's on 2G here inside. So maybe we'll have problems trying that. But don't worry. So the browser was not there in the first release. I mean, when I first tried the Glass 3 months ago, it wasn't there. The browser came in July as an update. So now we have a browser. There are two ways to open the browser. One is to make a search with Google, right? So I can Google things, I can ask Google questions, or just make any kind of search. Or now I can also create an action on a card. And that will be really useful, I think. So again, we have a glassware. The glassware is sending cards with information, and the card can have an action that will trigger a URL. So that means that if the card is too static for you, well, then you can send the user to a URL from the card. So there is no URL typing, right? You don't say blah.com. So no, you just search or use a cards action. So let's try to see if the 2G or 3G is working. Well, by the way, how do I connect to the web? Using Wi-Fi or using my phone with 3G, right? That's the idea. The problem with the Wi-Fi that we have here right now in this room is that today there is no way to log in inside the Wi-Fi. So it should be a Wi-Fi with password, but not a Wi-Fi with login. So there is no way to log in on a Wi-Fi, on a public Wi-Fi right now. That's something they say they're working on. So that's why I'm trying to use the 3G. So let's try it. Okay, Glass, Google, Argentina. So if it's working, it will try information maybe from Wikipedia first and websites that are talking about my search, right? And I can browse the web from here. So and that's the part that seems weird, right? It seems we don't have connection, unfortunately. That's one of the issues, right? If you don't have connection, we can't browse the web. So let's try them again later. So because I don't want you to be there waiting how the connection is not working. So the interaction that we have right now here on the browser is that I can scroll using this gesture, right? So I can scroll the web, right, using this. And the problem is that how can I point and click, right? Because I don't have a mouse, I don't have a pointer. And that's a weird thing that now you need to believe me how it works, or I can show you that later. But basically, you use 2 fingers, right? I use 2 fingers here, and then I move my head, right? And I point to where I want to click. It seems weird, but when you try it, it's not so weird, right? In first person. But that's how it works right now. I mean, it's pretty clever way to solve the problem, right? On how can I point? But maybe in the future, if Glass works and everybody's trying to use or browse websites, we need to do something from JavaScript or CSS or responsive design to create an interface for Glass, right? So I can just move using scroll, I move between options, so I don't need to point and click. Right? Okay, so responsive web design on your head. Right now, it's using a mobile user agent, so from a server-side perspective, it looks like an Android browser. It's weird because I did a post on my blog about all the stuff I have found on the browser, if you want to know more about that. It seems like Chromium, but it's not Android browser. It's a mix between Android browser and Chromium. It's really weird. I'm not sure if you're aware, but on Android, Android browser is not Google Chrome, so we have two different browsers. And here it seems like a mix, but it's not. If it's Chromium, it's very old, so it's weird. But well, in terms of media queries, if you want right now, right, to target Glass, you can use that width and that pixel radio, and that's basically Google Glass, and do something special. Right now, I mean, I can browse YouTube, for example, and it works. I can watch videos because in terms of HTML5 in the browser, we have video and audio support. I mean, the new HTML5 elements. We have device motion, and that's pretty cool. I have been doing some tests on that, but we don't have connection. But basically, the device motion API is a JavaScript API, part of the HTML5 umbrella, that allow us to, it's device motion and device orientation, allows you to read accelerometer and gyroscope using JavaScript. So basically, I can read movements of the head. So maybe we can use that for make some cool effects or maybe even a game, right? Just using the user's head. I mean, it's weird, but we can do that right now with the browser. We have scroll and touch events because it's multi-touch, so it's working with touch events. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why. There is no geolocation. The geolocation is there, the API, but it's not working. Maybe it's a bug. And we don't have any speech or camera API yet for HTML5, so we cannot use the camera or the voice. At least today. I mean, the browser has 1 month old, right? So it's still an experiment. But we are talking about what can be this in the future, and maybe in the future that will be interesting. So the browser is better than it looks like, right? Again, it seems weird, that kind of point and click. It's still experimental. I'm pretty sure that new ideas will come in the next month of how to browse the web, how to open the browser, how to interact with websites. I'm confident about, I mean, if Glass works in the market, I'm confident about this idea of the car plus HTML5. So again, without going to the GDK, creating native apps, you can now make a mix. And for example, for a game, it can be whatever kind of game you want, you can send a car, and the car can have an action that will trigger the HTML5 game, right? So you don't need GDK, you don't need a native development for a game. You can just, or for an app, right? But for an interactive app. So finally, let's see some code, right? So the Mirror API, it's based on OAuth 2, RESTful services. That means using just HTTP plain request and using all the verbs in HTTP, delete, get, post. JSON. So it's basically standards and open web technology, so it's easy to use. We can use HTTP directly in the language you want, or Google is offering you some APIs on different languages from Go to PHP, where you can just code easily, more in an easy way. So examples, right? I hope it's not so scary. First, the raw HTTP request. As you can see, it's just the green part. It's just a JSON message saying, hey, send this card to this user. How do you say the user? It's the token, the red part. You receive the token when the user authorizes you on the website, right? So that's the idea. So then you know who the user is. If you want to use the PHP API, for example, it's much simpler because you say, okay, create me a new Google timeline item, set this text, and insert this card into the timeline. That's all, right? It will do all the HTTP for you. When you send that, the user will get the card on the glass, and you, on your server, on your side, you will receive an answer in JSON with different information, for example, with the ID. The ID is useful if you want to store that to send updates or to delete the card in the future. It's a card ID, yeah, exactly. So the ID is the card ID on Google servers. So it's not your own ID, it's the ID of inside the Google Cloud. You can send HTML, pretty simple, right? Instead of using a text attribute, you send HTML attribute. And I'm sure there are a lot of web developers here, so talking about HTML5 on cards, right? Not HTML5 on the browser, two different things. Inside card, it's just for static content. So all semantic containers are there, section, article, divs, table, list. You can create your own custom CSS if you want. There are some templates available that you can download if you want to start playing with it right now. But no script, no link, so no external files, no iframe, right? No Flash, should I say that? But remember that you can also add an action and open a browser. One thing that I liked is that, of course, you can use images, but you can create a map image using the internal system. So there is a Glass protocol there. So you can put a map, and then you have a map on the screen. You don't need to use the Google Maps API or something like that. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. About menu items, remember, menu items are actions that I can use on every card. It's just an array in JSON, just like that, right? Saying, okay, I want to add this action. As I said before, we have two kinds of actions, built-in actions and custom actions, right? For that kind of actions, the built-in actions are, for example, share. So it will trigger share on Facebook, share on Twitter. Navigate to, so basically the user from your car, if you are showing the restaurant information, the user can trigger the navigation app, the maps app. Read aloud, so you can send one text for the screen and one text for the reading. Delete, so the user can delete the card. Voice call, because if you pair the glass with your phone, you can call, right? Reply, that's pretty useful. Reply, because reply will activate dictation mode. So I can send a card to the user can select reply, and then it will dictate something, and you will get the audio and the transcribed text on your server. Toggle pin allow the user to move a card that is in the past to the future. So I can pin something, the user can pin something in the future. And this month, the View website has arrived as a possible option, so we can trigger a URL from a card. And the cool thing here is that you can change the title and the icon. So instead of saying View website, it can say Start Game with a different icon, and it will open the browser. Or instead of reply, it can say Search by voice, right? And it will trigger dictation mode. So you can change the name of the action, the built-in actions. The last thing is that you can create bundles. A bundle is when you have that icon there at the top right, and a bundle is like a folder. So on the timeline, you have a folder, you can get into the folder to see cards. We can create bundles sending one message with a multi-page card, or we can send during the day or during the month different cards that will have the same bundle ID. And the operating system will bundle all those cards in the same folder. Okay? So I don't have a glass. Well, I do. You don't have a glass. First, don't steal one, right? Because you're going to hell, right? That's not a good idea, first. And then, if I have a problem with my glass, I call Google, and they will disable the glass remotely. So how can you start playing with this right now? There is a playground website, that's official website, where you can start to play with HTML and JSON, so you can see how the cards may look like. And if you have a glass, you can send that example to your glass. There is a glass simulator on a website, glasssim.com, where even you can select the picture of the background, so you can see the transparency and how it looks in the real world. It's glasssim.com. And there are two other tools you can start checking, like Shanolosher. That is basically, because it's Android, it's like a hack over the APKs inside the glass, so you can try it on an Android phone. And the Mirror API emulator is to create your own little cloud, Google Cloud, on your own computer. So you can try working with a little cloud inside your network. instead of using the Google network. At the end, you will need one, right? To understand how it works, to see how the transparency works. For that, you need to just sign up there, google.com/class, because there is no, it's closed right now. So I'm pretty sure they will open this again in the next few months. So the Mirror API, remember, simple, plain, HTTP and JSON, cards and menu items, and the emulation is still experimental. What's next? For Glass, the JDK, using multiple languages, because now it's only English, and more invocation voice commands. So I can say, okay, Glass, do something, get me lunch. Right? For you can go to developers.google.com/glass and see all the documentation. And I suggest you the Google Developers channel on YouTube, because there are like 4 hours of video with more details about what I told you today. Wrapping up, understand the experience of Glass. Remember, you have the Mirror API that is available right now, the JDK in the future, Java. It will be also native C, C++. Browser, so HTML5 apps and games. Right now, only cloud-based apps, and this is just the beginning. It's the first prototype, so it's just the beginning. Sometimes I feel that it's more important what we can understand of the experience and what should be this in 3 years than this specific product today. Okay? If you don't want Glass, you can join these guys, Stop the Cyborgs, and you will be happy. Thank you. Do we have time for questions? Yeah? Okay. Questions? Well, I have several people here. Wait for the microphone.
You were talking about the timeline. Then if I send a card to the future, will I have to kind of timestamp it so that it might become the past?
Not today. So today it's a pin card, so it will be there until you will remove it.
And what's the order? Like, when will my card appear? If you look into the future, when will it appear?
Well, right now, there is no way to define that, and that intelligent or non-intelligent is by the operating system. So right now, it's like first you see all the Google Now features, like weather, traffic information, and then comes the apps. Inside the app, it's not clear yet how it works. I mean, there is no way to choose priorities or something like that. But again, I think that that kind of stuff will be different in the next month. I mean, you will be able to select priority or date, or maybe the user will select which app the user wants to be first or something like that.
You talked about geolocation. I'm very interested in location-based games and this urban gaming stuff. And for that, you would need a much more frequent update of geolocation.
Well, right now, it's every 10 minutes. And you can request geolocation anytime you want. But they assure that you will get location every 10 minutes at least. So remember that even the user needs to have connection to get the location. So right now, there is one game called Ice Breaking. So the idea is that it's for Glass users. I would say Glass hosts. No, Glass users. That if there is another Glass user in town, I can see where he is, and he can see where I am, and we can meet each other, take a picture of the other guy, send that picture, and get points. The icebreaker, the game. But right now, it's every 10 minutes. You will get location on your server, so you can make a decision and update his car or other user's car.
But you could request it much more often.
You can request to a server that information, but I mean, right now, the only guarantee is 10 minutes. So if you need something, for runners or something like that, maybe you need to wait for the JDK, where you will get the GPS location yourself. I mean, your app will get the location in Java. So.
But if you would connect it to your phone, and the phone can give the location as well?
Yeah.
Glass?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have more question about the feel of the interface. If you use Siri, you have always a floaty moment because it's also voice commands. You get put in the command and then you're not quite sure if the system gets you right, and you have like so unsure moments. Is it the same with this device, or?
So you're talking about the recognition, right? So how recognition works. I mean, it works much better than on a phone. I mean, I'm from Argentina, so English is my second language. I mean, I'm not a native English speaker, and it works pretty well. It works much better than my phone, my Android phone, that it's the same server, right? But the thing is that because we have this bone conducting thing, so if you put your finger and you talk behind your ear, you will see that it's moving, the bone is moving. So basically, the glass is checking that to understand that you are talking and not someone else in the room. But voice is not mandatory. I mean, the OK glass, something, I can also use my fingers to go through the menu if you want. For searching, no, you need to use your voice, right? You need to do that. But I mean, just because it's an Android device, right? I can pair a Bluetooth keyboard if I want. So, and I can type something. But I mean, it's not the idea, but you can do that if you want. I have another one here at the front when I have. You are in charge of the microphone. Okay, Glass, decide who is going to say an answer, say a question.
I was wondering if you can interact with other glasses. So, for instance, if you're programming a dating application where you see all the singles in one room, would that theoretically be possible?
Okay, Glass, look me singles in this room.
Exactly. With someone.
So right now there is no interaction between glasses. So the way to do that is that all the Glass users have the app installed, and then you get the location. So server side, you know who is in the same area, and then you send information. Hey, you can look for this guy, and you send a picture, something like that. But you don't have a real connection between glasses because there is no native app yet. But when native apps appears, we don't know yet about permissions that Google will give native apps. I mean, now because it's unofficial, I can do whatever I want. But then with the store, it's not clear yet for privacy, for battery usage. It's not clear yet how it's going to work and which abilities will we have available. Right? So don't know yet.
I assume you use your glass quite frequently.
I don't think that's the right assumption. I mean,
What's your
I use glass, but not. I mean, before your question, right now, using the glass all the day, it's not really so useful. I mean, at least for me, right? If you are a guy that makes a lot of pictures, maybe it's better. But right now, there are a lot of holes. I mean, in terms of, I want the glass to do more than the glass is doing right now. So if the glass can do more things, maybe I will wear it more time, but not now, right? So, okay, now your question.
So when you're using it, how do you experience the acceptance from the crowd around you?
Okay, so right now the glass is like a device that will help you in the first contact. A lot of people get to you and say, "Hey, what do you have?" "Oh, that's a glass." So in terms of people trying it and acceptance, I see like 90% of people saying, "Wow, that's awesome." And like 10% of people saying, "Oh, privacy, blah, 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 that is in your head, it will kill you by cancer, blah, blah, blah." So that's my view of people, the reaction of people, right? So if the question was more like what will happen in the future, if this is going to work or not, to be honest, I don't know. So I see like half and half probability of being a success or a failure. But it's not a technical problem, right? I don't know how the society as a whole will take this. I think it has a potential to work and the potential of being crap. And that's why I don't work at Google, right? So I don't know, really. It's a probable future, yeah, for sure. It's a probable future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, we have more.
So what's the user scenario that you like? What do you do most often with Google Glasses?
So I had the best experience, to be honest, in USA, inside USA, like driving in a city that is not my home city. Driving with the GPS, it's perfect. I mean, and I know they're going to all the states or countries are saying they're going to say that you cannot use the glass there. But for driving, it's perfect because I don't need to even change my view from the front. But I did, while driving, I did calling. So I call, I receive calls, SMS, I answer SMS. Walking on the street, I have answered SMS. Of course, receiving emails and answering emails, quick emails with the voice. I mean, what else? Of course, taking picture quickly because, okay, oh, what is that? Click. Okay, I have a picture. So immediate picture is really simple. So I have this button. So basically, I say, and it's immediate. So it takes like 1 second to take a picture. So that's or a video. So I can press this, and now it's recording a video. So and the other thing, I did Hangouts. So you can do video conference. And basically, the other party is not seeing at you; it's seeing at what you're seeing. Right? So sometimes it's cool, sometimes maybe it's not the best idea, but that kind of stuff. But if you ask me, right, I think that the key apps are not there yet. I mean, the apps that we are going to love for glass are not there yet. So there are a lot of space for improvement.
You talk about the apps. Also, the ergonomy of the glasses look quite strange when you look at the screen.
Is it stranger than this?
Yeah, no. It's more like I would expect that you look out of the window of a car. Shows you direction, that you still look in the same direction, but you still sort of look like in the.
You need to look up. Yeah.
Corner.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's from the design team. They said that they have tried different approaches, like a whole glass, and they say that this is the only one that really works in the real world with society, right? Because now I'm looking at you. I'm not losing eye contact, and that is important for this device to be successful, right? The other thing is like for being in your home. I mean, maybe playing a game like a holodeck. Well, maybe that's one thing. But walking on the street with something that is covering your whole eyes, that will not work, at least in the next few years. Right? Yeah. So in terms of for the car, I mean, it's much better than the GPS or my phone at the bottom right. It's much better. So it's really simple to see. And in terms of how weird it is to see people looking up, right? 5 years ago, it was weird to see people all the time doing this, looking down on the street, on the train. So I don't think that will seem weird if everybody's using this in the future.
It's more like for how it is for yourself. I mean.
No, you get used to. I mean, the first impression sometimes when you first put this in, see, and we say, after a while you get used to. I mean, it's okay. I mean, now I can see, I have some Twitter mentions, and I mean, that's okay. I mean, I know I'm not you, you're not saying to me, but I mean, you get used to it. It's not a bad experience. I mean, the experience is okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Not sure about timing.
It's fine, we have afterwards a break.
Okay. Any other final question? No? You want a coffee then? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Max. We'll have now a 30 minutes break, so we'll continue at 3:30. Thanks.